Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dose of Common Sense. And I have one question. If common sense is supposed to be so damn common, why is it that no one has it? And good morning, everybody. How we doing? Welcome to the Dose of Common Sense for August 3rd, 2017. So, first up on the list tonight is going to be our wonderful friends at T-Mobile. Why are they even on this list? Well, T-Mobile happened to carry the day as far as the open signals analytics for service throughout the United States. And the one reason on that one apparently is because when Verizon went to complete and full unlimited service, in other words, when they decided they were going to rejoin reality, apparently their network was affected. Aw, so sad. So T-Mobile basically won every single one of OpenSignal's State of the Mobile Network Awards. Basically, what that means is they won in download speed, they won in 4G, 3G, and overall download speed. They won in the latency department for 4G, they won in the latency for 3G, and they also won for the availability for the 4G. Basically, TLDR for most of you. What does this mean? Well, basically, OpenSignals is a separate entity. Okay, now what they do is they conduct a bunch of tests through certain dates. In this particular case, it was March the 31st to June 29th. And it was almost 200,000 different test devices that were utilized for this. And they tested all four of the United States national carriers. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and Sprint. And basically T-Mobile just whipped every single one of them. For regional performance, Verizon was very close, but T-Mobile, of course, basically carried the day. And Verizon went from average speeds of around 17 megabytes per second to little bit less than 15 megabytes per second. AT&T, which also reintroduced their unlimited plans, also saw its speed drop from 14 megabytes per second to 12.9. I mean, that's not that major of a deal. Basically, the root cause of this particular story is that T-Mobile basically has gone from an afterthought in 2012, 2013 to quickly becoming one of the best carriers in the States. And I'm sure their parent company, which is Deutsche Telekom over in the European Union, isn't complaining about this at all whatsoever. So good on them. It's nice to see them get up that ladder a little bit more. So, but enough of that. Too long. Don't care. We are going to move on here, and we're going to have a little bit of sadness here. Well, not really. We're going to possibly get on a rant, so just be prepared. And this coming from our friends over at Microsoft. Microsoft had to do a Securities and Exchange Commission filing for the United States. And for all of you international listeners that could probably care less and probably already knew about this, Microsoft has basically officially shifted its focus completely and utterly away from Microsoft Mobile. As in, Windows 10 Mobile is pretty much, it's at the coroner's office. It's having a post-mortem done right now. In other words, it's probably going to be dead within a year. They've shifted their focus away from the mobile-first, cloud-first world to something that's so ambiguous. I think AR might have been mentioned in it somewhere. Really, AR mentioned. Where's your AR devices, Microsoft? Oh yeah, they've never been officially released yet. Why? That's my personal opinion. This is kind of like, why? Microsoft has been on the downturn for their mobile platforms since basically Windows 10 Mobile decided it was going to do a nosedive into a field somewhere, hoping that no one ever thought of it again. I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that they wasted almost $8 billion on this. Excuse me. I think it's a shame that they've laid off over almost 25,000 people over this crap. And that Nokia pretty much had to come back from the dead, owned by another major company. And now they're, instead of plowing the way through with a third platform that I kind of think is desperately needed, because there's only so much Android and so much iOS that people can take, that we're still stuck. And I think we need to have innovation as far as mobile technology is concerned completely. There are many different places around the world. I'll give an example. Taipei. It's nearly got one of the world's best mobile data networks in the world, and they're averaging anywhere between 25 and 45 megabytes per second. Most of the world actually is beating the United States as far as that's concerned, at least until we're getting up the, and I know this is really technical for those of you who are not tech nerds, I'm sorry. Basically, it's like this. Until we get our quote-unquote 5G, and until we get our... until we get at least the 600 megahertz band fully activated by T-Mobile, I think we're going to be pretty much stuck where we are right now. And that's a shame. And that blame needs to be laid directly on actually some of the cell phone carriers. Verizon mainly. I mean, they have set on a network that I don't think has been improved upon as far as capacity or speed goes in almost 3 years. Sprint had the absolute disaster of Sprint Spark, and they've managed to resurrect that into a manageable and non-disastrous platform, I should say. So, you know, we went from a jackrabbit pace when the smartphone industry came to light. And I'm going to say 2007, 2008, because considering Windows Phone is more or less a dead platform at this point, yeah, BlackBerry and Microsoft may have been the pioneers in this field, but Android and iOS pretty much turned it into instead of a trivia question or a did you know question, they pretty much made it a household term to have it. In order to exist in the world, you had to have a phone. And that wasn't the case before then. Less than 30% of the people in the United States, and I don't think the penetration was that far in worldwide, had a phone or a smartphone or even a mobile device before this came to be. And that was in 2007. And now today, most people can't exist without a cell phone of some kind, let alone a smartphone. So, you know, that's pretty much what that's turned into. So, you know, we're gonna crawl for a while. I think we haven't reached that next major plateau yet. I mean, we're on the edge of it with VR and AR, but I think those are solutions looking for problems. Until that whole industry is more or less, okay, we know we're in existence, this is why we're in existence. until that has pretty much been figured out, I can't see us going too much further than that. And they're already talking about peak smartphone. I don't think we're there, guys. I really don't. I don't think the smartphone industry will ever get boring. I think there will be times that it's repetitious. It's times that it's iterative. But I don't think it will ever get boring. So there is that. So, okay, we're going to get off of that soapbox for a minute. Pour one out from Windows Phone like we haven't already for the last year. So, according to rumors that we are getting from various analysts and leakers within the wearable industry, we have discovered that Fitbit apparently intends to release a smartwatch by the end of 2017. Guys, I'm sorry, weren't you all the pioneers as far as health-based wearables were concerned? Y'all managed to do the hard part, and now you can't even do the easy part. What is it? Did you Fitbit yourself? I mean, there was Pebble. You bought Pebble. There was Vector. You bought Vector. You guys did the hard part and came out with a heart monitor on your wrist. At least you're the ones the first to do it. So what is it that you guys can't get together to create an effing smart watch that actually functions the way it's supposed to? Oh, I got it. Everybody else has pretty much used your ideas and ran 3 miles ahead of you. So, but they're supposed to release one by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. For those of you interested, keep an eye out pretty close. So, we're going to get away from that for a minute. And this is going to come from the Are You Kind of High file. And this kind of baffles me a bit. I don't know about you, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to ask this question. So, AT&T has pretty much included the Samsung Galaxy S8 Active in a current promotion that they're running. The only thing is, there seems to be one glitch. They're including the phone in a promotion that they have not announced, they have not made official, and we don't know when it's going to be officially launched, let alone announced. When you get done scratching your head, why don't you answer this question that I've been thinking? Why? Why are you including a phone in a promotion that you have not officially announced yet? I mean, I've seen renders of the phone. I've seen press renders of the phone. It's actually, it's not ugly. I mean, it's kind of boxy. It's a little thick, but it's not ugly. But, we know it's going to exist. It's not like you haven't announced an active version of every smartphone that has been in the Galaxy S series for the last year. So why is this suddenly a mystery? I'm kind of curious on this. I really am. So when y'all figure this out, let us know. And when you decide you're going to announce the S8 Active, let us know that too. And we'll be sure to pass that along to your customers. So, speaking of the Galaxy S8, apparently Samsung is going to put 7.1. They're going to roll it out on a update very, very soon. Very, very soon could be several different things. Very, very soon, before y'all start hollering, could be 48 hours or less. Or it could be the next month. Samsung has a history of not being completely and utterly timely with their updates. That's been fact ever since the Galaxy S2. And it's 6 years later and they still have the same reputation. Now, I will give them this. The updates since Google pretty much said, hey, you need to do a monthly update for security. Granted, they haven't stuck with the absolute every month update for security, but at the same time, they've been a lot better than they have been in the past. And Who knows? If we see 7.1, maybe we'll see version 8 by the time that they start pre-announcing for Android P. I don't know. Something to keep a good eye on, that's for sure. So let's find out about that when we do. That'd be great. And we're going to stick with Samsung again because why? Well, someone leaked the final hardware specs for the Note 8. Now, not that this was a big surprise for anybody that's been in the technology industry, and it's even less of a surprise for those that are a big fan of the Note line. So, you know, we've had rumblings of this for quite a while. But apparently it's going to be like this. It's going to be 6.3 inches for the screen on the Note 8. It's going to have 1440 by 2960 resolution, even though there are rumors now that they may even go up to 4K. It will have an 18.5 by 9 aspect ratio, or basically 2.25 to 1. That has not been much of a surprise on that. The S8 and the S8 Plus pretty much had the same thing. And the S8 Plus is only an inch smaller, so this might affect your next part of this story. Okay? The phone's only going to be 18.5 millimeters thick, by the way, so you're going to have a Note that is much thinner than... It's going to be a little bit thinner even than the Note 7. Don't start screaming battery yet, guys. I think they've solved the battery issue. So it will have IP68 water and dust resistance. That's no surprise either. That's pretty much been in the cards for about the last year. Basically, you're looking at a pixel densification of, I'm going to say, about 528, which is not that bad at all. It will have, of course, a Snapdragon 835 here in the States, and you will probably have the Exynos 8895 for better or for worse. I think it'll be better for the Exynos for the world markets. For some reason, we're still stuck on Snapdragon. So, I don't know. I'm kind of interested. I would be kind of interested in seeing an Exynos version of this. Although I think anybody that had the Note or the Galaxy S6 might have had the Exynos version. So, don't quote me on that. All models will have a minimum of 64 gigabytes of internal storage along with micro SD capability. It will have 6 gigs of RAM. This is the part I want to cry because you're going to get not really, because you're going to get 6 gigs of RAM. The S8 and the S8 Plus only have 4. I kind of want to whine a little bit, but at the same time, I made my bet. There you go. I have an S8 Plus. So, it will have a rear dual camera. Say that 3 times fast. So, basically, it's going to be like this. You're going to have 2 camera sensors on the back of the phone. They are not going to operate the way that Apple's does on the iPhone. They're not going to operate the way that the V30 does, or even that the G6 does. It's like this. They're talking about 3 times zoom capability. They're not talking about one shooting in color and one shooting in black and white. They're not talking about any fancy things like that, at least not yet. So the only way we're going to find out about that one, other than knowing that it's going to be f1.7, other than the fact that it's going to be 12 megapixel with OIS, and it will have the dual pixel autofocus that came on the S7 and of course the S8. The second lens is an f2.4 aperture with 2 times optical zoom. They have not said that that's going to have any special tricks to it. Now I'm going to assume probably that Either the software is going to be in it at launch, or the software is going to be perfected eventually. Don't be surprised if it's available at launch, though. You will probably have the same ability to do bokeh that you actually have with the iPhone 7 and most other cameras with dual pixels, or dual sensors, I'm sorry. Now, it will have a battery with 3,300 milliamp hours, which kind of surprises me a bit, because even the S8 Plus had 3,500. But it will have the proprietary fast charging. It's not proprietary. This is actually Qualcomm's fast charging 3.0. Here's the issue where I have. You can expect a price point of around $1,000. Congrats, you're going to buy a cheap car. How can you justify having a phone at $1,000? But apparently they can. So the price point is going to be around $1,000. I don't think it's going to be all the way there. I think they're going to kill it to about $899 probably. But it begins shipping in September, and it will come in midnight blue, maple gold. Oh God, forgive that. That's my personal opinion infecting that. So midnight black, maple gold, which is a lot better than rose gold or pink. Orchid gray and deep sea blue. What are they? Okay, part of that might have had to you may be high file, so we'll go with that one. I'm just kind of curious. If you've seen the S8 or the S8 Plus, the difference is it's going to be just as beautiful, just as bezel-less as the ones out currently look. The Note 8 is just going to have a more boxed off design than what you're used to. So it's not that loss at all. So okay, so we're going to jump off the Samsung gravy train for a minute, and we're going to go to OnePlus for just a split second here. OnePlus 5 is an awesome phone. There's no denying that at all. None of you listening internationally or in the United States could probably argue that point with me. It's pretty much one of the best phones out right now. And at its price point, it makes it even better. But there is one market that hasn't had the opportunity yet for sales as far as OnePlus. I don't think any OnePlus devices are concerned, except maybe through importing. And that would be Australia. So for those of my listeners that love to listen to and read Austroid, I don't even know if they have this yet. They might. But it looks like that the OnePlus 5 will be launching in Australia, soft launching in Australia, sometime this month. And if that goes okay, because basically what they're going to do is they're testing their supply chain. So once they get done with that, then once they've determined that's a success, then they will probably hard launch it. And at that point, they'll open the floodgates. I'm sure there's a lot of Australian listeners that are just salivating over getting that phone. I would be too, because you've got a good network, that phone's a good phone, and you put the OnePlus 5 on Telstra, Vodafone, or anything else down there, and you're going to have a wonderful experience with it. So OnePlus will enter the Australian smartphone market, and the launch is set for this month. So there is that. Now, this one, and forgive me, for the last couple of nights, I have not been able to put the show notes in the rundown due to technical difficulties. And the main reason behind that one is not really going to surprise you. Remember, I told you at one time that the system that I'm using right now is the iPad, and I have iPhone or not iPhone. Oh my Lord. I have iOS 11 beta running on this. Well, one of the issues with beta is you can't transfer over notes on occasion. So my apologies. I will probably have that fixed within the next couple of days. Or if I have to, I will literally take it, and we may end up having to change not hosting, but we might have to change the devices that we transmit from. So we'll have to check. So Apple has announced the amount of the Apple Watches that they have shipped, and this is just for Q2. And so for anybody wondering about that, the amount of Apple Watches that were shipped in Q2 was 2.8 million units. And this is worldwide. So that's not a real surprise. I mean, I hate to say this. I lean toward Android. I use Android. I have to use iOS because I have to know about these things. But I'm also not surprised in the fact that iOS has been able to handle smartwatch wearable technology better and cleaner than anybody else I've seen. So the fact that they have shipped 2.8 million units, does that surprise me? No. The fact that they haven't taken it off these exorbitant prices does. I honestly think if they can get a hold of Series 1 still, they need to put those suckers down to basement levels. If you want to completely blanket the smart wearable industry, okay. I'll learn how to speak in a minute. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So, when Apple finally takes the Apple Watch Series 1, if they can still manufacture it, and they can get it down to a pretty good sale price. And like I said, I'm talking 150 or under. I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point. It doesn't even cost you that much to manufacture it. Put it down to $150. Take the loss on the remaining Series 1. You will sell out of them in less than 60 days. And then your smartwatch footprint is going to be astronomical. Because I'm serious. I'm going to probably bash Samsung for a minute in one particular area, and I'm sorry. Apple seems to be the only one that got their smartwatch stuff together. I personally, I wear the Samsung Gear S3. I wear the Frontier one. And at times I like it, but at times I think it's a complete dumpster fire. I think it's not worth the amount of money that they have people pay for this. So they have to get back, Samsung has to get it back to a point of, hey, let's do wearables with sense in them. Common sense. That's why I'm here. And as far as Apple goes, Apple needs to step up the amount of integration, and Samsung needs to lower the amount of integration. Because Samsung and Apple and Android Wear, for that matter, they love to throw everything in the kitchen sink at you. And that shouldn't have to be that way. But that's my opinion, and that will probably be saved for another episode. If you want me to put it in another episode, email me, show@techfilesmedia.com. Tweet at me @techfiles or techfilesmedia. I'd be more than happy to dedicate an entire show to it. I mean, I did originally say I was going to do at least 3 a week, and I think I managed to break that one by a few. We've done at least 4 every week, if not 5. So, here's one out here, and I was going to cap off with this. And this doesn't even need to be put on any jaunty thing. In fact, we're going to do this for a minute. This is going to be one of those, are you kidding? And here is what I mean by that. In a recent report, it was discovered that, and the Wall Street Journal actually was the one who reported this story. And for my international listeners, you don't really need to pay attention for this other than perhaps laughter, because I'm sure you're already aware of it. There was a story written in the Wall Street Journal that said 29% of the American public do not realize that you can actually get your local stations for free. Because a lot of people don't realize that we still can use digital antennas to pick up our local stations for free. You really don't have to be stuck with your cable company and pay an exorbitant amount of fees. Honestly, the only thing I have a cable company for right now is internet, which is great because all I need it for is web. That's for podcast hosting. That's for my 2 Rokus that I've got, and every device that I have is more or less for podcasting, learning, or blogging, and that's it. I've got a couple of projects in the works right now, not to mention the fact that I'm about to go to my day job again. Thank you, God, shortly. I'll put that in a blog post. Let's put it this way. Tech Files Media is about up and running. Right now it's still on a redirect to my Spreaker webpage. And I apologize for that. That was a last minute measure to keep people from having to go to a page that was absolutely inoperative, and I wasn't going to have you all suffer through that. I really wasn't. So we had to divert the page. It diverted to the Spreaker page, and even that didn't divert to the right one. It diverted you enough to where you knew where I was. So when everything gets up and running, I will let you know that through every place that I have access to, and I will send you the link. But unfortunately, that leaves me for one other particular issue, and it's something that if I got feedback on it, I didn't get that much, and I'm going to attempt to extend this. And basically what I'm trying to run is I'm trying to run a contest for you guys, and it's the first one for our podcast. And in order to get the sponsor to sign on, we had to have a certain amount of participation. Well, that participation did not take place. Now, if that's my fault, I apologize. But I'm still fighting that battle. And I may just have to prove it myself. So if you have submitted home screens and I haven't seen them, which I haven't seen, I've seen 25 in the last week. And I'll be honest with you, some of them are pretty good. And believe it or not, I've actually seen some from iOS that surprised me. If you have a home screen that you want to show for our contest for best home screen, and that contest will run until the end of August. I don't care. You know what? I don't care if I have to pay out this thing myself. It's never been about this show making money. At least, not until there's many, many, many things that have to be settled as far as quality first. And I'm not happy with the quality of where this is right now. So this is about audience. This is about making people not afraid of their cell phone because they don't understand something. This is making sense of technology mobile or otherwise, for you. And participation is what's key, not only from me to you, but from you to me as well, because there's something I could miss on any of these stories, or opinions. I may be wrong on an opinion. If I am, call me out on it. I'm not afraid to have a discussion over this. So there is that. But we're still working on it. If you still have home screens to submit, keep submitting them to me. I will let you know one way or the other is to where we're actually going to have a sponsor for it, or one way or the other it's going to be sponsored. It'll be sponsored by the people that I wanted to sponsor to begin with, or it's going to be sponsored by Tech Files Media. I'm not messing with these people for too much longer. And to the people that I'm trying to negotiate to have these done for my audience, I'm sorry if that angers you, but, I promised my audience a certain thing. I haven't disclosed the nominations of the gift cards that will be at the end of this, and I won't. At least until we have the website up and running and we know where we stand. And just because you aren't happy and only getting 25 submissions instead of the 100 that you wanted me to before you said you were going to sponsor this, which I still think is kind of chunky, considering that we've known each other for a long time, you go ahead and do that, because I want to take care of my audience. And if you want to come along for the ride, great. Get the exposure. If you don't, that's fine. I'll do this myself. This show has a long way to go. This is called a journey. This is not called a pay me. I do this because this is my passion and my hobby, and I will treat my listeners accordingly. If I feel like they deserve something to be rewarded for being my listeners, so be it. Guys, sorry about the rant. I had to get that off my system, I guess. 29% of people in the United States do not know they can access their home local television station with a digital antenna. I don't know if we blame this on the FCC because of them ramming the fact about net neutrality down our throats, or I don't know if we actually blame this on the tech blogs and the tech people or the cable companies. I think it might be a little bit of all three, because we've been all over cable companies, we've been all over providers and everything else. I don't think any one of us stopped and actually looked around and said, oh yeah, we still can do this. So let me float this out here to you. If you have a smartphone and you feel like you need to cut the cord from your cable company because they're charging you too much money, if you only want to go down to maybe 3 or 4 channels, and God knows, sometimes I think we're oversaturated too. I would say go to Radio Shack, but Radio Shack's pretty much dead in the water now. If you want to, go to Walmart or go somewhere and get a digital antenna. You can still pick up local stations, and you don't need the aluminum foil. You don't need the wrap. You don't need anything stupid. You just need a digital antenna. That's it. In 2009, it was so bad that the United States government actually paid for every household to have an antenna. Boy, this puts the United States in a real intelligence hole right about now. So anyway, I'm just kind of wondering, did you know that you can get your local stations for free? Send me an email, show@techfiles.com, techfilesmedia.com. Tweet at me @techfiles. Send me a picture of your digital converter box to TechFiles. Review, rate on any podcatcher you can find. Let them know you're out there. Let them know you like this show. Let them know you don't like this show. Just get some attention. And one way or the other, this contest will go through, and I will let you know more as time goes on. But I want to thank you for listening to me. Thank you for taking the time, whether it be in your cars, in your houses, or in your ears. Pass it to everybody you know. If you have someone that's confused on tech, send them to us. Dose of common sense. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you all have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you all may be, whether it's the United States, Australia, Russia, anywhere in the world. So y'all take care, have a great day or a great night, and by all means, stay classy. We'll catch you later. Now, I bet you want to know the best way to contact us here. No, I think they already know that. The good ways to contact us here is to send us an email at show@techfilesmedia.com. TEKFILESMEDIA.com. They know that too. Or follow us on Twitter at TechFiles or at TechFilesMedia. And we can be followed on Instagram at TechFiles or at TechFilesMedia. We can be found on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, let's break into that one for a minute. And we can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. We can also be found on TuneIn.com, Stitcher. We can also be found on Pocket Cast, and of course, none of this would be possible without our hosting services at Spreaker. So, thank you to Spreaker. Thank you to even Rob Greenlee. All your help has been appreciated. Guys, once again, thank you for a wonderful, wonderful show, and thank you for listening to me. Stay classy, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.